Games are great, but they're even better when they're about an inch away from your retinas. Of course, good VR games aren't just about strapping expensive things to your face. Join us as we stumble and fumble through this newest of genres, charting the very best virtual reality experiences on PC. Don't forget to reach out in front of you and smash those like and subscribe buttons. Just try not to knock anything over in the process, eh? We're not paying for nothing.
The name might make you want to claw your own eyes out. Claw? But the imaginative concept and polished delivery just about make up for it. Kittypocalypse, see, we told you, is a VR tower defense game where you attempt to rescue the galaxy from an impending feline invasion. Instead of the conventional top-down view, Kittypocalypse lets the player take on adorable hordes in first person, zipping around the map like a tactical deity, upgrading and installing turrets to ward off the cute little fluffy wuffies. Freedom of movement also lets you watch the kitty massacre up close, if you have the stomach for that sort of thing.
Chronos does a lot of things differently to other VR titles. Not only is it a third-person action RPG that runs natively on the Oculus Rift, it also has one of the most interesting progression mechanics of any game evs. Your character ages by a year with each death. No, that doesn't mean he gets wrinkles and has to pee multiple times in the night. Getting old in Chronos will make your character worse with a sword, but with age comes wisdom, and with wisdom comes magical powers. Shh, don't tell your grandparents. The great thing about Chronos is that it's an action RPG that would still absolutely work as a concept without a headset on. Gimmicky features and fiddly controls are absent. It simply uses the VR format to bring the player that bit closer to the action.
Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, or Catane, as it's known to absolutely nobody, is the ultimate solution to that age-old conundrum, wanting to play a VR game with your mates who don't have their own headsets. One player dons the goggles and is transported somewhere nobody wants to be, next to a big, complicated bomb that's constantly tick-tocking closer to death. The other player looks over a manual for defusing bombs and attempts to feed the correct instructions to their friend. With one player blind to what the bomb looks like and the other clueless as to how to disarm, expect plenty of deaths as instructions are misread, bombs are fumbled, and friendships are ruined. Which wire? Look, there's 5 seconds left. Great.
Drive a car out of a plane. That's all you have to do in the 007-inspired I Expect You to Die. It's trickier than it sounds though, although every bit as dangerous, because of all the booby traps and the poison gas that you're sitting amongst. For such a small scenario, there are many, many ways to meet the game's titular expectations of you. I Expect You to Die might be a short-form VR game, but it's the closest most of us will ever get to experiencing a Bond-style escape firsthand. Or at least, gosh, we certainly hope so. Careful with that weaponized laser. Why are there sharks underneath us circling so excitedly?
EVE Valkyrie is the dogfighting offshoot of Space Bastard Simulator EVE Online. While you won't be able to build a galactic empire worth millions of pounds in this one, you can do some super cool space flips and loop the loops. The real marvel is the minimal impact that minutes of barrel rolls and gut-wrenching turns will have on your stomach. It's not just hours of shooting things in space either. There's a surprising amount of customization and upgrading that you can tinker with as you rise through the ranks as a budding space pilot.
Before Euro Truck Simulator 2 came along, none of us here at PCGamesN were really that sure about VR. Then we got to check our side view mirrors by turning our heads, and, one by one, our lives were changed forever. Okay, fine, that might be pushing it, but barreling down the autobahn, peering over the dashboard of your very own Volvo FH16, wow, it's more satisfying than you might think. But if you want our advice, just keep moving. Reverse parallel parking an articulated vehicle is a learning curve that we just don't want to get into.
Few games make use of the Vive's tracked motion controllers and room-scale functionality like Hover Junkers, which basically turns your den into a rocket-powered barge and lets you run around it, shooting at other people and their rocket-powered barges. A bit like Mad Max, if it had been set on a futuristic canal. The other Junkers are all controlled and manned by real-life opponents, making this a sort of on-rails online shooting gallery. The presence of human-controlled enemies makes Hover Junkers an irresistible VR shooter, adding the kind of unpredictability you simply can't get from bots. Just be sure to move all the furniture out of your room first.
Racing games have always been chasing higher levels of realism, and that means the truly devoted sim racer sets aside some space and money for a pretend steering wheel, pedals and gearbox. Well, now you've got one more thing to add to the massive desk setup. Because Assetto Corsa's lifelike physics model and catalogue of exotic cars are now available in glorious virtual reality. A fixed point camera view ensures you won't have to sprint to the bathroom every time you emerge from a hairpin bend, and you'll still be able to look across into your mirrors to check on the opposition. Unless you're in last place, in which case, that feature's pretty much useless.
Elite Dangerous is what happens when developers deliver on a concept that sounds too good to be true. That concept? A 1-to-1 scale digital copy of our very own solar system, the Milky Way to its mates, where you can fly around in spaceships, dogfight, or just be a space trucker. Oh, and there'll be other players, all with their own motives and allegiances, some even with their own empires. Not only can you now strap Elite Dangerous straight to your eyeballs, its VR support is among the best around. That means less time spent cleaning stomach acid off your cockpit, and more time crashing really expensive spaceships. Have you ever wanted to climb Mount Everest? Of course you haven't, just look at it. It's huge, covered in snow, and will almost certainly kill you. Everest VR lets you enjoy all the great views of the formidable peak from the comfort of your own home. Feet up, kettle on tourism, just the way we like it. Using lots of shiny technology and a ton of assets from a certain 2015 blockbuster also set 29,000 feet above sea level, Everest VR offers gamers a chance to visit a mountain that only the most experienced climbers have ever glimpsed. It's also significantly cheaper than flights to Nepal, the $11,000 royalty fee attached to reaching the peak, and the cost of hiring a Sherpa. So there they are, the best of the bunch, the creme de la creme, the best VR games on PC. We're taking off our goggles now and waiting for the world to stop spinning. If you liked our choices, don't forget to stumble on down to the comments section and tell us what you thought.